Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to start off this first impressions slash early game review of Endzone A World Apart on their Steam page. So firstly, before getting started here, I want to thank the developers over at gentlymad Studios and the Assembly Entertainment developers or publishers for the review copy. Also, if you guys haven't tried out Lurkit.com, it's a great website for small streamers, small content creators, really, such as yours truly. So we've partnered up with them, and thanks to them, I was able to review and get first impressions on this game. And right off the bat, as you can see, mostly positive. I know sometimes some Steam reviews can be skewed. I understand that. For the most part, the reviews seem to be accurate on this game. Now it's a survival city builder, and it's a sim game, so it's pretty good for in that category. You know how standard survival city builder where each person has a mood that you have to satisfy, whether it's building places that they can relax at or have just things around to help them manage the end of the world. And so just to clarify, there is 2 DLCs for Endzone. There's Prosperity and Distant Places. I did not get access to those. Those are on the website on lurkit.com to either request access and see if you are qualified for them. So like I said, it's a good website. I use it. This is actually the first game that I use it on, so it worked out pretty good. And I had a great time with this game. On the background, there is pre-recorded video from my Twitch stream over at twitch.tv/rope_poncho, shameless plug. But as you guys can see, when you start a new game, you can choose between tutorial, survival mode. The last one, I'm not too sure what that mode is. Might have to go back and try that out. You can select how hard you want the game, the map settings. You can name your settlement, and it's pretty intuitive. I pretty much maxed out on the map settings. I pretty much maxed out, I think, lake size, map size, mountain size, starting off area. Like I think I put it to the highest it can go and everything, just to see how it would be. And I think I messed up on that end, just because it seemed to have spawned with more water around me, which was a good and bad thing, only because I didn't have enough space to put everything close to my settlement. So it made it a bit harder for me to gather resources and things like that. But, it wasn't something I couldn't manage. Yeah, as you can see here, we start off with just a couple settlers. Now, the only thing that might be an objective point of view is the graphics. It is a little rough when you go and zoom into the characters. But I don't mind that. The way I like to review games and like to see a game is more if it's functional. If it functions, and it's playable like a game, it does what it's supposed to do, then that's a good mark in my book, And if I'm having fun with it. Now, granted, having fun is subjective, right? Everybody has fun doing different things. But as far as city sim building games, this is pretty much up there with going medieval and the Timberborn. There's a new one, Alien. Forget the name of it, but that's also another good one. Those are all pretty great sim buildings, city builders and things like that are in that genre. The genre, I think itself is kind of small, but I like the way it's so niche. It fits a certain amount of people that like that style of gameplay, and I didn't know that I liked that. You know, I didn't know I was going to be a big fan of it, but I definitely thoroughly enjoyed it. But, you know, back to the game. So you can set your settlers to be builders or to be just regular villagers. You can so when you have them set up like that, they can either wander around and just pick up the first job they're assigned to as villagers, or as builders, they're strictly just builders. You can't set them up to do any kind of jobs. So, and you can't really assign them to go hunting. So right here, I was trying to assign them to, you know, hunt the cow and all that. They didn't seem to want to do that, which is fine. You know, it's understandable. But for some reason, they just didn't want to do that. And, you know, it just left it like that. And I was trying to figure out how to build the water. I wanted to get started on building the water and all that stuff. Now, this did fast forward the video a little bit, but I thought this was funny because this moment right here, I was going through a drought, and the settler right here was saying that our population was growing too big to sustain the resources that we had, and he recommended that I build a forum and prohibit any more any more reproducing, which is kind of a new feature that I haven't, as far as the sim building city games that I've played in the past. It's a little different. I thought it was kind of hilarious that they had that. Later on in this gameplay, also I started to notice that most of the buildings were kind of connected. I didn't like that part. Some of the buildings were, you could build them by themselves and they would operate on their own as long as they had the resources around them, like the wood, you know, the logging factory and the scrap metal yards that, you know, there's scrap metal piles around the map that you could do, and those would operate on their own. So that wasn't too bad. I thought that was pretty cool. But there's some buildings that were connected to each other, and I thought that was also a good little implementation that they added. So I wanted to show off some gameplay on this part of the video. I thought it was pretty cool that they added a building called the Expedition Station. Now, the Expedition Station is its own sub little game in its own. It kind of reminds me of if you guys ever played Fallout Shelter on mobile, where you send off your settlers to, you know, kind of scavenge areas and things like that. I really like how they implemented that in this game. And there goes the forum right there. You can select missions from the forum, which is its own actual building as well. And that's the area that I was talking about, where you can kind of prohibit more reproduction from the settlers. And but the Expedition Station was very cool because there's this greenhouse that I'm hoping to see if it'll capture in this part of the video, where your settlers would go. You can select from any area around the map. So yeah, you would select, you'd bring up this radar, and this radar would bring all the interesting locations close to your settlement, and you could start an expedition. And so the expedition would go and, well, sorry, you would start a scout. The scout would go and see if the location has anything worth value, right? It would go in and be like, okay, it's like kind of like a rundown greenhouse. They give you a brief description of what it is, and they're like, there could be possible plants that in this specific instance, they were telling me that there could be possible seeds that we haven't had, and there was a back room that they couldn't get into. So then from there, I have to decide, okay, is it worth using resources to get in there? You know, in this instance, I have to decide whether it's worth using the resources. Right here, I have to select who I want to send. Some expeditions do have requirements. So I needed a gatherer and a harvester in order to go into the greenhouse, and I met those two requirements. So it was an easy requirement, luckily. And so they go to the greenhouse, and, you know, I get in contact with them, and they're like, hey, you know, it doesn't look promising, things like that. But from the scout, from what they had told me already, they're telling me that there might be seeds back there that I might have missed. So I'm telling them, hey, you know, get in there and kind of properly search it. I'm sorry, right here I'm just talking to Chad, but you know, I do tell them to take a look around. You have the option to either loot and run or take a look around. So, and they do end up finding some things in the background, some seeds, some, I believe is mutated corn. You use a resource. I think it's like almost like an energy point. Now from the top right there, I have 6 energy points. So I'm assuming that maybe some of these other locations are a lot bigger and you have to use a lot more energy to search them. I didn't get that far. I just searched the one greenhouse in the 3 hours that I played this game. I would like to see how the other locations act, but as far as what I've gotten, this is what the footage that I got and the gameplay that I got, and I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I don't know if you get attacked in there. I don't know what would happen if there was raiders. And yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool little side mission there. This right here is a research tree, which I thought was also really cool. I wasn't able to properly use this to its full advantage. I needed to, at this point in the game, I was getting notification that I was going to get raided from raiders, obviously raided from raiders. and so I needed to build defenses, and the way to do that is I needed to unlock defenses. So I was trying to figure it out. I didn't understand it that well. That was just a user error on my part. I'm pretty sure the game explains it, you know, in its own way, and I just wasn't paying attention. So I tried to do it, but I didn't understand it quite well. So yeah, when the raiders did come, I did have to pay them tribute only because I didn't have the proper defenses researched. Luckily I had a surplus of food, even though yes, I did have a big population. You know, I had the green number up there at the top is the number of adults, and the yellow orange number up there is the number of children. So I did have a pretty big population, but I was fortunate enough to have fishing, farming, you know, a stable full of chickens, you know, things like that. So I was having different ways to collect food, and it kind of helped me out in the end. And it was pretty cool, you know. I'm kind of glad I did that. I want to go back in there and see what happens if I fight them once I have defenses up. And so I wanted to show off gameplay on this as I progress through the seasons. You know, getting into the late game, I got to season 59 by the end of this recording. I would experience droughts. At the very beginning, it would just be droughts, and as you can see in this video, it was droughts and sandstorms. The sandstorms actually damaged the buildings. So if you have builders, they go and repair them. They're a little bit slow. And when the building gets damaged, it doesn't produce. It stops producing the resource that it normally would produce. So you have to wait till the builders go and repair it. Everybody started getting, the morale around the camp started getting really low. That's the arrow going down on the villager. So everybody started getting mad. The green over there on the left side is actually radiation, which is another big thing in this game. Besides raiders, it seems to play a big part, because I only made it to the beginning of this. And when I mean the beginning, this is what I mean. The entire village was covered in green radiation. Now this is low radiation. Luckily for me, I was producing the highest radiation protection that I could build. It was running through materials pretty quickly, but luckily I had enough, and I was building them constantly. And my villagers weren't dying off that fast, but they weren't sustaining as much as I would like them to. And so the end game, well, not the end game, but this is like, I guess the end of the beginning of like the earlier gameplay. Just because it seemed like from here on out, you're just going to be always covered in radiation no matter what. So this is pretty much as far as I streamed for about. This is as far as I got. I got droughts, you know, low radiation, which is the green, and sandstorms. So I mean, I gotta say, like, for me, as far as the experience with this game, I had a great time. It was definitely a recommend for me. You know, as far as buying it, I believe it's on PlayStation 5 and the newest Xbox console. So I definitely like this one. This was different take on the you know, survival sim building city sim. I definitely enjoyed that. Like I said, I was still early in game, so I couldn't really do the upgrading and all that. But I thought it was pretty good. You know, I think if you like this kind of gameplay style, I definitely recommend buying it. You know, even if you wait for it on sale, you know, I definitely recommend picking this up. You know, and like I said again, I appreciate the developers, the publishers, you know, Lurkit for helping a small content creator such as myself. If you guys are curious on how to sign up for the website, I'll leave everything in the description below. And with that being said, you know, that's my first impressions review on Endzone A World Apart. Appreciate you guys. See you guys on the next one.